Okay then, today we're going to have a look at homework paper 11, which is for year 10 and year 11, I believe. So we'll look at the multiple choice first and work our way through it. So let's have a look here. So we've got, what time is it on the clock? Okay, so we can see that it's our hand is before 5, so it's going to be something on the clock before 5. So we've got it's not 20 past 8, the hands are the other way round. It's not 8 minutes to 5. I'm sure you're aware that this is 5 past, 10 past, quarter past. And if we keep going round, we get 25 to 22, so it's 20 to 5. So that's the time there. Okay. Okay, on the next one, we go around to the nearest whole number. So if we look at 42.8, we cut the number off there. The number below is an 8, so it rounds up. So that will be 943. Multiples of 6. Now, multiples of 6 are numbers in the 6 times table. So which one is a number that's in the 6 times table? There's only one of them. It's 12. Remember, a multiple is not a factor. Daniel buys a magazine. He has £1.64. How much money does he need? So let's have a look. So we do 230, take away 164. This is a non-calculator paper, so I would count on, if you struggle with subtraction, 164, count on to 230. So I have 36p to get on to £2, so plus 30p. So it is 66p. So therefore, it's answer C. Question 5, got to work out what the next pattern is in the sequence. So if we have a look, we're adding on a hexagon every time. And if we look, the pattern clearly is going in a line. So when I look down, it's got to be D. That one carries on going downwards instead of going up. That one adds it on, but in the wrong place. Okay, so a TV program starts at 7:55, it ends at 7:10. How long is the program? Again, number lines work best for time because we can't use subtraction and things like that because of the fact that there aren't 100 minutes in an hour. So I'm at 17:55. I had 5 minutes on to get to 6 o'clock. Then I had 1 hour on to get to 7. And then I had 10 minutes on to get to there. So it's 1 hour plus 5, so it's 1 hour 15 minutes, which is answer D. Question 7. So we've got to work out the perimeter of the shape. Now the perimeter is the distance around the outside. Now it's not counting the squares, it's counting the lengths. So from here to here is 3 squares. Plus 1, plus another 3, plus 2, plus 2, plus 1, plus 4, plus 2. So 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 16, 18. So answer B. The coordinates of the point P, remember it's along the corridor and up the stairs. So we go along there, 1 up to 2, so the coordinate is 1, 2. Okay, X comes first. So which of the marked angles is a reflex angle? A reflex angle is greater than 180 and smaller than 360. So it's got to go over a straight line. So the only one that fits is E. Okay, it's the only one that's bigger than 180. If you're interested, we've got a Q, obtuse, right angle, and that's Q as well, I think. Question 10. What number is halfway between -2 and 4? Well, again, if you struggle with this, drawing out a number line will help. So we've got -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we can either count from the outside to find out what's in the middle. It's 1. What you can also do is you can subtract it. So we subtract the numbers and add them together. Okay, that will tell you, and then halve it, sorry. You'll get the answer as well, but I'll just do it like that. Question 11. Adam is X years of age. Brenda is 5 years younger than Adam. So Brenda is 5 years less than what Adam is. So if Alan's X, Brenda is X minus 5. That one's times 5. That one is saying she's 5, take away Adam's age. So if Adam was 10, she'd be minus 5 years old, so it doesn't work. That's 5 years older. And that's, well, to the power of 5. So that's quite a big number. Question 12. Which one of the fractions is equivalent to 2 over 5? Well, we've got different denominators here, so we can simplify them all, or I think it's probably easier to scale it up. So I know 2 over 5 is the same as, well, to get it over 20, I've got to times it by 4, so it's 8 over 20. I also know to get it out of 30, but it can't be 8 over 30, so I don't need to bother working that one out. What do I do to that to get to that? Well, I times it by 8. So 2 times 8, that's 16 over 40, so that one doesn't work either. 30 over 50, well, I times it by 10, so it's 20 over 50, so that doesn't work. This one must be right, but just to check, how many 5s go into 60? 12, so we times by 12. 2 times 12 is 24, so that's why E is the answer for that one. Question 13, which of the numbers are prime numbers? Well, we know that prime numbers only have 2 factors, one in itself. So 8 is an even number, so it's going to have a factor apart from 1 in itself. It's got the number 2. The same as 12, which leaves 15 and 9 are in the 3 times table. So therefore 2 is an even number, but 2 is the factor, so it's 2 and 5. D. So let's have a look then. So we've got it wants us to draw a parallelogram. So where's the point we can make a parallelogram? Well, parallelograms have 2 sets of parallel sides. So that side's got to be parallel with that one. So we can see where it's got to go. So therefore, it goes there because that makes a parallelogram with that set of parallel sides as well. That then means our coordinate is 2, 2. E again. Question 15. 5 terms for sequence. What's the 10th term? Now, some people think you can take the 5th number and times it by 2. But that would mean you could take this number and double it to get the 4th number. So it doesn't work. You can only do that if the sequence is a times table. So what we have to do is the easiest way is just to keep adding 4 on each time. So I would just add 4 on, it's going up in 4s. So I've got 17, 21, 25, 29, 33. So I've added 5 numbers on, so 33 is the 10th number in that list. So question 16, which one of these is true for all values of x? Well, what it means for all values of x means that any number we try. So in the case of this one, if we simplify it, we get 5x equals 5. Well, we can solve that. X is 1. 5 times 1 is 5. So that statement is not true because we can solve it. There's only one answer. So we need basically questions where some bit of algebra equals another one. So it's basically going to be one of these 3. It can't be that one because, again, that equals a number. If we look at this, we've got 6x take away x, 5x equals 7x. Well, it doesn't. We've got 5x and 6 take away x. Well, again, that's going to give us a number, so that it can't be that one. So let's have a look at this. 6x take away x is 5x. 5x equals 5x. So it doesn't matter what x is, we'll get the same answer in both parts, both sides of the equal sign. So therefore, D is the answer. The nth term of the sequence is 5n minus 2. What is the 4th term of the sequence? Well, the 4th term of the sequence is when n equals 4, because it's the 4th number. So we do 5 times 4, take away 2. 5 times 4 is 20, take away 2 is 18, so it's C. Question 18. So we've got to divide by 0.1. Now, there's loads of different ways we can figure out what this is. Okay, one way is to think of it as a fraction. So I've got 23.5 divided by, well, 0.1 is 1 over 10. And I'm sure you might remember that when you divide a fraction, you multiply by the reciprocal, or if you use the KFC technique, you keep the first one the same, you flip the second one, you change it into a times. So it's 23.5 multiplied by 10 over 1. 23.5 is 23.5 over 1, so it is 235 over 1 whole ones. Some people just remember that basically when you divide by 0.1, it's the same as times it by 10. Divide by 0.01 is the same as times by 100. Okay, there's lots of different ways people can use to remember it. So I know the answer is 235. Look and see it's B. We've got a right angle triangle here. It asks us what the area of the triangle is. Now the area of the triangle is the base times the perpendicular height. So basically we need two measurements which make a right angle. So basically I'm interested in that number and that number there. So base times perpendicular height divided by 2. Base times height divided by 2. So 15 times 8 divided by 2. 15 times 8 is 120. 120 divided by 2 is 60. Therefore, it's answer B. You can halve the number. You could do 8 divided by 2 first, and then say 15 times 4, get the same number. What's the best estimate for this calculation? Well, the rule is that you round all the numbers to one significant figure. So the first number is 4. The second number is 10. The third number is 0.5. 4 times 10 is 40, divided by 0.5. Now, to divide by 0.5, you can either say how many halves are there in 40. We could do it as a fraction question like we did above. Or what we can do is if we want to divide by a decimal, we can scale it up to get rid of the decimal point. So I'm going to do that on this question. So I'm going to double this because that will, I've got a half. If I double it, it'll turn it into a whole number. It'll become 1. And then we know that if we double the bottom, we double the top. So it's 80 over 1. 80 over 1 is 80. So D is the best estimate for that question. Question 21. Given that we've got this number here, we've got to divide it. So what you've got to realize is here that the calculation we get will have the same numbers in it. So we're turning a multiplication into a division. Now, if you look at the number you're multiplying it by, the number you're multiplying it by, divided by, is, to go from there to there, has got 10 times bigger. So we've got more that we're going to share. But we've also made the number we're dividing it by, has gone, the decimal point has moved from there to there, it's got 10 times smaller. So you're actually sharing it with less people. So I know the answer has got to have 114.5 in it because it's the other number from the calculation. So that divided by that is that, that divided by that is that. So notice 145, but I started with a number 10 times bigger. So it would make the answer 10 times bigger. And then I'm dividing it by something that's 10 times smaller. So if it's 10 times smaller, everybody gets more. So the net effect of that is to move another decimal place over. So the answer, put a placeholder 0, 1450. It's answer E. That's quite a tough question, that one. Okay, 3D coordinates. The 3D coordinates have an X, a Y, and a Z. So if we look, it's asking us about point M is a vertex of the cuboid, which is down here. So again, what I want to do is I'm going to figure out, I'm going to go to get from here to here. It's not about reading this line here. All the Z lines go that way. So what we do is we say, well, look, to get from there to there, how are we doing it? Well, I go along the axis, x-axis is 7. I don't go up or down the y-axis, so that's 0. And then, how far along here do I come out? Well, to get to that point there, it's the same as going from there to there, so it's 3. So it's 7, 0, 3. 7, 0, 3. Answer E. Remember, it's always, just to clarify that, X, Y, Z. That's the order that 3D coordinates appear. Question 23. We've got angle SPQ, which is the angle here. It's 48. It tells we've got an isosceles triangle, and we've got to work out the value of X. Now, there's more than one way of doing this, but the easiest way, I think, is 180. Because an triangle adds up to 180. Take away 48 is 132. Then we halve it because it's an isosceles triangle and the base angles are equal. So it's 132 divided by 2, which is 66. So we now know that this angle here is 66. I can see that's on a straight line, and these two angles meet on a straight line, so these two add up to 180. So it's 180 take away 66, which is take away 60, 120, 114. 114, we know the answer is B. Okay. Question 24. The terms of the sequence. So how do we find the nth term? Well, the first thing we do is we know that this is the first term, the second term, the third term, the fourth term. We add 5 on, add 5 on, add 5 on. So if you remember the deno, that's the difference and then n, or I know it's going up in 5, so therefore I know the sequence is going to start with 5n. And then what I do is, there's two ways you can work this out. You can either say, well, look, for the first number, 1 times 5 is 5, but I need the answer 2. 2 times 5 is 10, but I need the answer 7. 3 times 5 is 15, but I need 12. So what I'm doing is, I'm timesing the number by 5, but then I've got to take away 3 to get the number I need. If you use the deno method, you're saying, well, look, what's the 0 number? If I go back in the sequence and I'm going up in 5s, well, I've got to take away 5. 2 take away 5 is minus 3. So the 0 term is minus 3, so it's 5n take away 3. We get the same answer either way around, just different methods to work it out, so the answer is D. The coordinates of the midpoint, okay, we find the coordinates of the midpoint by adding the coordinates together and then halving it. So we're basically finding the mean of those coordinates. So I've got, on the first one, for the x coordinates, so they're both the x numbers, 4 add minus 1. So you add them up and you divide it by 2. Okay, that's the x coordinate of the midpoint. And the y coordinate is 5 plus minus 1 divided by 2. 4 add minus 1 is 3. 3 divided by 2 is 1.5. Or 1.5, but we're dealing with decimals in the answers. And then we've got 4 add minus 1. Adding a negative is take away. So it's 4 divided by 2, which is 2. So now I can see this is the correct one. It's the right way around. So that's the midpoint, coordinate of the midpoint. Okay. Right, so let's go on to the second part of the paper, the slightly longer answer questions. Need a calculator for this, so make sure you've got one ready. Here's one I prepared earlier. Okay, so we've got 4 types of tree in the wood: oak, birch, ash, and elm. So the table shows the percentages of the trees. So we've got to work out the percentage of elm. Well, if it's percentages, because they're the only trees that are there, it's got to end up to 100%. So it's just a case of 100, take away 55, take away 10, take away 15, or you might have added those up and then taken away from 80. So there's 20% left over. Question 2. So calculators are £2.75. A maths teacher has £50 to spend. How many calculators can she buy? So obviously we've got to do 50 divided by 2.75. That will tell me how many calculators I can get out of my money. 50 divided by 2.75. Press S and D. We get 18.18. Now, and the 1/8 recurring. But I don't know very many shops that sell 0.18 of a calculator. So what I have to do is I have to think, right, well, actually, how many calculators can I buy from that money? I can buy 18. Because, obviously, I can't buy the fraction. I can't buy 19 because I haven't got enough money. So the answer is 18 calculators. Write down the answer line. Done. Question 3. Write down the mathematical name of the straight line shown in the diagram so we can see it's a line that goes from one side of the circle through the centre. That's called the diameter. Remember the radius is from the centre to the outside. Write down the mathematical shape of the shaded region. So this shape here is like a little bit of a pie. So it uses the radius to formed with the part of the circumference. This is called a sector. Okay. Question 4. Bit of algebra. D times D times D is D to the power of 3. Not 3D, that would be D plus D plus D. Make sure the 3 is above the line as well. It's got to be clear that it's an index number. This is not acceptable. Okay, that's just 3D written backwards. How do we multiply with algebra? We multiply the numbers. 3 times 2 is 6. And then P times R is PR. Number first, letters in alphabetical order. Okay, we've got a bit of algebra here. So it tells us that we've got N batteries in every pack of batteries. Alex buys 5 packs of batteries. So how many has he got in terms of N? Alex has got 5 times N. He's got 5 lots of N, which is 5N. And then it says Alex gives 7 of the batteries to her brother. So how many has she got now? Well, she's got 5N, which is what she started with in the first place. And we take away 7. We can't work it out because we don't know how many batteries are in each pack. We just know that's what occurred. So we've got a picture of a man standing next to a tree. The man is of normal height. Now, normally on these questions, you're allowed to use an approximation of the height of a normal man. Now, in the past, on GCSE questions, they normally allow 1.5 to 2 meters. Or if you use feet and inches, you might say 6 foot. But then what you've got to do is you've then obviously got to give your answer in feet as well. And the question says meters, it's trying to give you a clue. That's what you need to do. So an average man is 1.5 to 2 meters. I'm estimating. So what's the simplest number to use? Well, simplest number is 2 meters tall. Okay? 2 meters. And then if I look, I've got to look at how many people fit in the tree. Because on the picture, that man is 1.5 centimeters. And the tree is pretty much nearly 6 centimeters. It's a little bit under. But remember, it's an estimate, so we're only working out an approximate answer. So I know that's 6 centimeters. 6 divided by 4 gives us a scale factor of 4. So that means that tree is roughly 4 times bigger than that man. So therefore, what do I have to do? 2 times 4. I know the tree is roughly 8 meters tall. Okay. Question 7, apples and pears. So we know they add up to £2.30 and we know the cost of the apples. So if we know the cost of the apples, we can do £1.34 times 3. Because we're buying 3 kilos. Okay, which means we spent £4 and 2p on apples. If we spent £10.30 in total, £10.30 take away £4 and 2 pence. why I'm typing this in the calculator, but it's just worth checking. 6.28. And how many kilos of pears did I buy? I bought 4. I want to know the cost per kilo. So 4 kilos costs 6.28. So 6.28 divided by 4 gives us, again, do it on the calculator, make sure you get it right, 1.57. £1.57. So now what I've got to do is I've now got to type this in the calculator. Now this is what these calculators are best for. They allow you to type things in exactly how you see them. So I've got to do bracket 3.5, take away 1.92, close bracket, I press the squared key, or you can use the power key and put a number 2 in. Just show you, sorry, the squared key is there. And obviously the bracket key is here. And then it says multiplied by 3.274. Okay, it asks us to write down all the numbers on the display. There's 8.1732136. All right, and then it asks us to round it to 1 decimal place. Well, to round it to 1 decimal place, I cut it off 1 number after the decimal point. It's 8.1. But before I write that down, I check the next number down. It's a 7. So that basically rounds the 1 up to a 2. So it's 8.2. Remember, 5 or more rounds up, 4 or less stays the same. Okay, so now we've got to draw the graph of y equals 2x minus 4 for values of x from minus 1 to 4. Now, what some people do to do this question is they do a table of values. Okay, so we start with x and y. The question tells us it's minus 1 to 4. So we use the values minus 1 to 4. I would start at 0, because if you're going to make a mistake, you're going to make a mistake with negatives. If you start at 0, you'll get all the positive numbers correct, and then you can figure out what the minus 1 is, because you'll notice a pattern in the numbers. So look, it means 0 times 2 take away 4. So 0 take away 4 is minus 4. So when x is 0, y is minus 4. When x is 1, it becomes 2 times 1, which is 2, take away 4, minus 2. 2 times 2 is 4, 4 take away 4 is 0. 3 times 2 is 6, 6 take away 4 is 2, 2 times 2 is 8, take away 4 is 4. Now if we notice, the pattern goes up in 2s. So I can figure out that this one is negative 6, but just to check, minus 1 times 2 is minus 2, minus 2 take away another 4 is minus 6. Now what we've got now is we've got all the coordinates that we need to plot them So what we can do is we can say we'll look at minus 1, minus 6, we're going to put across. 0, minus 4, we put across. And we put all the crosses and then we join up the line. Other people do it by using what's called y equals mx plus c. And they look at the equation. This is just an alternative method, so you might just want to ignore this if you understand this. But if you use y equals mx plus c, when equations are written like this, we know that this number here means the gradient. So if we've got y equals 2x minus 4, we know that number's 2. So we've got a gradient of 2, and we know that the y-intercept, where it crosses the y-axis, c, is at minus 4. So some people just go straight to the graph, and they start at minus 4. And what they then do is they know the gradient's 2, so they count 1 square across, 2 squares up. But to stop you making this so easy, what they do is, if you look, there's 2 squares. So when I go 1 square across on the axis, I'll actually go 2. So it's 1 square across and 2 up. Put across. 1 square across, 2 up. Put across. 1 square across, 2 up. Either way, you're going to end up with the set of coordinates. If you don't, though, it asks you to draw the graph. The graph is the line. If you don't draw the line, you don't get all the marks. Simple. Okay? So 2 different methods, table of values, and that's 2 units. Yeah, question 9, now we're looking at question 10. So we've got two straight lines and they're parallel. Now, because they're parallel, this means certain things can happen. So all these things about corresponding angles, alternate angles and things like that. So we've got to work out what angle A is. Now, to work out what angle A is, there's loads of different strategies we could follow. But we just got to find the one that kind of works best for us. Now, I look at it and I think, right, well, this is on a line, and what jumps out at me straight away is if I know what this number is here, okay, I can, basically, I know those three numbers add up to 180. So that I also know that because the lines are parallel, that those two angles there are the same. They're alternate angles. Okay? But to get the fact that those are alternate angles, what I need to do is I need to use the fact that that's 65. This is not the only way of doing it. I've just seen another way as I'm working through it. So that's 65 because they're opposite angles. 40 and 65 is 105. 105 took away 180 is 75. Therefore, that's 75. And so that's 115. 115, that means A is 65. Well, if we look at it, how could I have got A as being 65 from here? Well, once I've worked out that that's 65, if we look, we've actually got a corresponding angle, or that one there and that one there, they're corresponding. So we can say that's 65, so that's 65, and they're opposite angles. So what they're really looking for is corresponding angles are equal and also opposite angles are equal. If you did it the way that I did it the first time, this is why it's not the best way to do it. I'd have to write opposite angles are equal, and then I used angles in a triangle add up to 180, and then I used alternate angles, and then I used angles on a line add up to 180. So actually you had to use 4 different skills to get the answer the first time, whereas we could have just said 65 because it's an opposite angle, 65 because it's corresponding, it's a backwards F shape. Okay? But I've kind of done all the hard work for the next part of the question, because to find out the size of angle B, I do need to know that's 65. I do need to know that's angles in a triangle. So therefore that's 75. So if that's 75 because it's an opposite angle, or that's 75, so that's a corresponding angle. So B is 75. Complete.